When viewing Vow Village, please keep in mind there will be no catfights, no crisis, no shade. This is meant to be a celebration of couples who are making love work through the pandemic. We already know that bad news travels fast. Our hope is this good news can travel and last. This docuseries may have hints of other couple-centered shows, but it is uniquely designed to highlight happy couples with the alliance of wellness experts. Contrary to popular opinion, when things are going well, guidance from a mental wellness clinician can still take your relationship from good to better and from better to mo better. A collaboration where everyone in the room is an expert, each host a trained wellness expert, while the couples are vow experts who have agreed to form this vow village, and it takes a village to raise a vow.
Oh, I definitely think that celibacy enhances a relationship. It can enhance your knowledge of knowing who that person is, whether or not he's the right person for you, whether or not that's who you need to be with for long term, and you get to know the person's personality a lot better.
Yeah, because the yams can get you confused, man, and you need to you really need to stop and really know who she is, because the yams will cover up the red flags, and you will not know that she is nuts. You won't know that she can't spell. I mean, there's so much stuff that can go on. There's some people out there that ain't that smart, but you're loving them so much, and you're in the bed so much, they cover up the flaws, and boy, you figure out you have babies by these people, and you're trying to do homework, and you figure out they can't read. Oh boy, it's a lot you gotta do before you say I do. I'm telling you, I've been there. I have an ex-wife, and I was so preoccupied that I let go of all the red flags, and I didn't pay attention because the love it. But this time I was able to pay attention. We stopped, and that's when I really fell in love with her. Before it was a mixture of both. I could say I could cover up the flaws because the sex was good. But then,
only the sex?
Yes, but then afterwards, when we stopped, that's when we learned about each other. And I think, and to be honest with you, it was when we stopped having sex that God allowed me to see who He had given me as a wife. Because when you're in a pandemic and you don't have a lot of divorces going on now, because a lot of people, you can't have sex every day of the pandemic. So you got to talk to that person.
Well, you can.
And that's what happens when you figure out you married a dummy.
The couples today were just so different. Tawana and Amudia, I love the idea that they are really in love with what the other person's role is. And they kind of it's like he was a hype man for her almost. Like, I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of the things she's done with our children, and I know what I do in this family, and I know what she does. And I think that we have to be supporters for each other. We have to really come in and say, you did that. You really did that. Because if not, we begin to seek it outside and in other ways. So every couple was so different, and it was just a rich example of love.
The first time she went to Nigeria was we're getting married. Because it's not just the person you're marrying. You're marrying a family. Again, that's another thing too. She's not just marrying me, we're still working on that part. She's marrying a family. So, and that's very important. Because in the Western world, I don't want to just say America, in Western civilization, it's always the nuclear family. In the rest of the world, probably even in Europe, it's a more extended family.
Yes.
So, and in Africa, it's mostly, if not 95% extended family. To the extent that people you grew up with as friends, or your parents were friends, you end up calling each other brothers, even though there's no blood link or whatsoever. So, and that's something I think is very important for couples in different continents. They need to,
So I think that the advice that I would give is it's always come down to communication, of course, but to also be flexible and not so rigid in your own sort of idea of what marriage would look like or should look like. We both have to, and this is something we continue to work on, is just being considerate of each other's sort of ideas and ideals surrounding marriage. He is a product of his family and I'm a product of mine, and mixing the two of those, because we had similar upbringings, is not like always the most difficult thing in the world to do, but it does absolutely have its challenges, and it's just communication, and I think also respect.
Casey and Sean, the thing that I learned about them and I was kind of excited about is how different they are. Very, very different. I don't think you can find a couple as different as they are, but they've made that commitment to be together and find the similarities in their love as opposed to focusing on the differences. Like, how has being a dad changed you?
You know what? I'll go ahead and say it. My dad wasn't there for me. My dad left when I was 3. So it's an adjustment for me to be a dad. I have to, read over, books and learn as much as I can on how to become a better dad. So it's a growing process for me.
I don't think books do that. I don't think books help you be a better dad. I think just being there helps you, and then being involved.
That's true too.
Because
but that should be standard to me. That should be normal.
It should be.
Should be. But
Okay, so now I'm gonna swoop in with my therapist cape on and the boots and everything. So first thing I want to acknowledge is, as Black people culturally, many of us have that narrative, Sean, right, where our dads maybe weren't in the picture. I mean, I do. I'm married, and my husband had the experience. His parents were married forever, right? They were together his whole life. That's what he saw. I grew up with just my mother, and it sounds like you grew up in a single family home as well. So that oftentimes does color our experiences as parents. And so for you, I'm hearing you say you read and you get counsel from other people. That's all okay. And whatever his approach to that is, Casey, we want to support that, whatever he feels like he needs in terms of, because that experience as a Black man and a Black father is one that's hard to relate to, especially if you haven't had the model.
Right, I agree.
And many of us have not, right?
Correct.
So I commend you for looking for those resources, and maybe, Casey, a way for you guys to communicate some of your nonverbals can be, what can I offer? Like, can I help you find these resources, honey? Baby, what you need? Like, I really like that you talked about how patience has increased for you as a mother. I think a lot of people think that that's supposed to be automatic. Like, you're just supposed to be patient?
No, that takes work.
And what kind of work did you do?
I had to look at myself and say, okay, what was my experience growing up? And my mom was there. My father wasn't. He was an entertainer, so he was hardly there anyway. And then when he passed away, he was not there. But my mom was always there, and she was a stay-home mom. However, you know how a person can be there but not there, and that's how I felt. She was into herself. So I have to say, now don't get me wrong, my mom was a great mom, but she also was about her in a lot of ways. So when it came to patience, what I learned from her was she had to deal with my sister, which was something else. I'll just say that. My sister was a firecracker.
Okay.
So what I learned from my mom is how to take whatever she dealt with, and I kind of do the opposite in the way that she dealt with it. And that's how I think my patience has grown, because I'll have to sometimes step back and say, "Whoa, I don't want to do it that way.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it this way," and change it. And my daughter, as much as she tests me, she's never really seen that other side. So I think that I'm doing good and bad with that, because you know how they say, spare the rod, spoil the child. I am sparing the rod probably too much now.
Okay.
But that's also the patient part that I choose to have. And I think that's what's going on.
I want to speak to duality. Like it can be both. You said your mother was into herself,
She was into herself a lot.
but she was also a good mother.
She was. And I know that's like, well, I mean, my mom, I never wanted for anything. We lived in a nice community. She cooked like crazy. So there was no want or desire physically, you know, or should I say monetarily. But the desire that I wanted, I'm the younger sister. So the desire that I wanted was more attention, participation, involvement, where she was giving that all to my sister because my sister was driving her up the wall.
Okay.
So it was that kind of situation. So I see that with my daughter. I see the attention that she might crave from because she's the older sibling. But I make sure that that's not the same situation that happened with me is not going to happen with her.
Okay.
You know, but I think sometimes I can be a little soft on her.
And I think this is important too, because what we see as kids, we kind of bring into our experience as parents, right? Whether we do it directly or indirectly. Sometimes we're trying not to be that. But there's a quote that says, what we resist persists.
Ain't that the truth?
And it's very true. So sometimes what you're trying not to be, because you're putting so much focus on not being that,
Right.
it shows up in your
happens.
house, it shows up in your life. So, and then you have Rodney and Amaris. The epitome of a fun couple. And I will say, a lot of times when we're married, we forget to have fun. It becomes this serious thing, like, you know, did you pay that bill? No, I didn't pay that bill. Will you do this with the kids? And it just becomes status quo, just every day. And we forget to have fun and we get to enjoy each other. And that is key in a relationship, especially after you've been married a certain amount of time and you feel like you know everything about this person. Fun. So the fun was there with them.
And Pastor Gregory just preached on sex before marriage, and I was...
No, he had preached about it multiple times because you kept asking me, do you think we're doing the right thing? I said, you fine, bro. Like...
You were okay with it.
I mean, I wasn't okay. I was ready to get engaged.
Her inner thought was trying to pull me down.
No, and I'm like...
I prayed
No,
about
I
it.
said that if you don't get it right, bro, we're going to have to...
But then I
can go ahead
prayed,
and move on now.
I
It's
prayed
2
one
years
day
too long.
after I said, okay, God, if this is to be my wife, take the desire to have sex away from her. But I never told her my prayer. And a week later, she comes and says, you know what, we shouldn't be having sex before marriage. I was like, oh, God, here you go.
But that's
Seriously,
not how
bro,
my mind
that's the prayer you answer, not to hit the lottery.
For you.
What you gonna, this is what the prayer you gonna answer. But
That's the prayer.
But when she said that, I knew it was my wife. But she was already 2 months pregnant.
I think after
Wait,
I
she
didn't-
asked me a question.
I want to get married because I didn't want my baby coming to the.
No. That's why I wanted to get married. Don't try to take my reasons.
That's why you wanted to
That's
get
why
married.
I wanted to get married.
Okay, tell me
I was
more.
even more adamant when I was pregnant, when I found out I was pregnant anyways.
Okay.
I was more adamant because I was like, I'm about to have a baby out of wedlock. I done worked all these years and tried so long to not have that happen, and you ruined it. So
He ruined it.
She just didn't want to be a baby mama.
Okay.
She wanted to be
big
a
fear
wife.
too. That was a big fear too.
Okay.
'Cause
So
I was
you
like-
pushed it. You were pushing
I was
now.
like, I ain't
Let's
gonna be
get
no baby
married.
mama if you ain't gonna like.
No, and her daddy was pushing it. Her daddy came down.
I think he's scared of me actually.
Her daddy came down, sat me on the bed, was like,
In front of me.
I thought he said, let's talk. I think we're going to go somewhere. So what's your intentions with my daughter? I'm like,
I said, oh
Bruh.
no.
Okay.
Not now.
But-
Yeah,
So we actually
before
go on
that.
dates, lunch dates, or
Yeah.
like I've been stopping work, like let's go to lunch.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's go to the beach, just me and you.
But I had to bring that up because he wasn't in school for a while, and that to me was a problem. Not a problem that he wasn't in school, but a problem that we're not spending as much time that I think we need to have together to make sure we stay, connected and all that good stuff.
So what does that look like? How much time or what setting does that bring the most or the best of y'all?
Oh, it's
I like every setting.
yeah, it's whatever. I mean, because I used to think intimacy was only physical,
Okay.
but it's not.
For me, it's
going
little
to the
things.
beach, walking. Yeah, I've had to learn her love language.
Like
And-
I need undivided attention.
Undivided attention.
Like
help
no
out with
phone.
the house. Yeah, help out with the housework.
Yeah.
Clean up without being.
Without me having to say anything.
So the acts of service.
Yes. And me, it's just, I'm a touchy-feely guy. She's totally opposite.
Yeah, no.
Is it
I blame her
cool?
daddy.
Okay.
Mom and daddy, they don't touch. They don't do. They're not
They
that
do
kind
touch.
of couple. But I think me growing up
Being
with that
spoiled?
with the lack of intimacy with my mom, my dad,
Okay.
I take
Crave
that
it?
more seriously than most people would who's had that growing up. So to me, it's important to show and say, I love you, and show you. Let me tell you how beautiful. I want to give you a kiss. I
Yeah.
want to touch you. I want to feel your skin. It ain't about sex. I just want to feel you next to me versus people that are okay with just not ever touching each other. That to me, that does
Well,
not
I
work.
don't not ever touch it.
Yeah.
Now
She's-
wait a minute.
African Americans and Nigerians, and I
Yes.
kind of tend to not buy into that. Again, I really think it comes down to the person. I feel like as African Americans, we also have, a strong culture, strong values, strong families, and all of those are things, that we can be proud of as well. I don't think that we are void of, culture, as I've heard some people put it. So, but the thing that I think I learned is to take what I like from each, whether it's his culture or mine. And we've been to probably 5 of the 7 continents. So if I'm in Asia and I see something that Asian people do and I like it, I'm going to incorporate that into, my family as well. So I think that's what I would take from it, is just, you don't have to take the whole thing. Like, it's not an all or nothing situation. You can just take a piece from here and from there and build what's beautiful for you and your family.
How have you helped them adjust?
They are actually doing really well. My daughter essentially prefers to stay at home.
Oh, she likes it.
likes staying at home. They have each other, so we don't, I know it's difficult for a lot of parents because, the kids are maybe younger and need more help, like especially now with online schooling. So it's gonna sound like bragging, but
No,
it's
no,
not
but
true. But they're really independent.
We talked about that
They're
too,
very
yeah.
independent. They're where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And two, like we said, they're 15, so they hadn't yet gotten to that point where they're kind of like going out with friends and stuff. So it never really got started for us to have to, insist on rolling it back now. And they're both pretty mature, so they understand that we are in a pandemic and it's for all of our health that we pretty much stay in our little bubble. And they haven't really given me a hard time about it at all. They're really great kids.
But school-wise, socially, I don't really like the fact.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're missing out.
Yeah, they're missing out because this is time where you actually learn the kind of person you are. Because I just had the conversation with my daughter the other day. I said, this is when you know what you like as a girl, what you don't like as a girl, what you like in a boy. Because this is when you start sharing things in school. Your girlfriends are telling you this, and I don't like that. But this is when you share ideas, but you're missing. It's a year
I
gone.
kind of want to hear about too. You guys are parents, right? How old are your children?
14 and 12.
14 and 12. Okay, so having kids changes everything.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Correct.
How has being parents changed the two of you?
It definitely made me more patient. A lot more patient. It's made me more understanding of other people. And I think I'm, well, I won't say mature because it didn't do that because I'm still silly as I don't know what. But I do think that it has made me a better person in general.
Okay.
I mean, I love them with all my heart. I do anything for them.
I think with her, it's like she said, patience. I'm dealing with my daughter, and you got to have patience. With my son, he's only 12. He's growing, but my daughter is 12 going on 18.
He's a lot. My boy is a lot like him.
Yeah.
And my girl is a lot like me. Let's
Yeah.
just keep it real. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she needs help.
She needs
No,
help.
you need help.
Okay.
Really?
Well, you know what? I think if we do all of this and everybody gets help.
Yeah, how about that?
I think everyone needs a therapist. A few times in their life. I think that should be a new mandatory. especially in this pandemic. Everybody has to see a therapist, at least 2, every year. So,
Oh, my opinion, talking to a counselor, I think it's crucial and critical that you always keep one handy, because I think that when your marriage is going good, it can always be better. I think you can always use advice to continue a great relationship. And when you do have problems, it's always good to have a safe place to talk it out and get the right perspective, because you may not see things as clearly as the next person.
So one of the primary takeaways I have today from participating in this show is that it allowed me to explore my own mental health, to look at the areas in which I am maybe not as strong as I would like to be, perhaps uncovering certain feelings that I might be experiencing and exploring how those impact how I communicate with my spouse. And what I appreciate about Vow Village is the opportunity to speak with a licensed professional so that I can begin to explore some of my own shortcomings, if you will, and build myself up so that I can come together with my husband to strengthen our marriage and our family.
I'm Dr. Ryan, and thank you for tuning in to Vow Village.
Welcome to this program. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you and getting your comments. And I look forward to this program being a part of your life and helping you to submit and solidify your marriage and your relationship.
Thank you for tuning in to Vow Village. Click, like, and share. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else. Remember to tell your friends.
awesome.
All right.
All right.
All right, I think we good. Every single person who made it happen. This is not an easy time to be alive right now, but we're just glad that we are. And not only are we alive, but we're creating art. We're creating something that can be helpful in the community and in the world. And I want to say to everyone, even though things look difficult and hard and all of that, find one thing that you can focus on and make it grow and love it, because this really is, it's a hard time, but the silver lining is this: the whole world is slowed down. We have a time to focus in a way that we haven't had a chance to focus ever before. So I encourage everyone to take a little time to just really look at the silver linings and find a way to find joy.